Alright, so there is actually two ways you can do this RF choke. You can do it what I call inline, or you can have a separate one that you can just screw into any coax, which I like. Now this one here is one that you go into the coax. So what you would do with this one, this is the 1/2 inch one. And what you do is you want to leave some off, that way you can screw onto your actual antenna stud. But you're going to wrap it around a 1/2 inch PVC piece 12 times between the two ends here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 turns between these two ends. So this is one way you can actually do it. This end here actually goes over into the other coax end. And this is a 25-foot run of a RG8X coax. So this is one way you can do it. You don't have to cut the coax or splice into the coax or anything. All you need is a 1/2 inch PVC piece and wrap it around 12 times. And it is very, very hard to hold this cable wrap all together and put on zip ties by yourself. Very hard to do. So now the second way you can do it is when you're putting on what's called bulkhead connectors, which is basically the end pieces of these, and there's 4 holes on it that screw into like a PVC or a piece of wood, and they're called UHF or CB antenna bulkhead connectors. So if you want to do something like that, just like before, you're going to take a coax wire and you're going to cut it to where you see this inside piece. You don't want to cut more than that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take that outside piece and you're going to push it all the way down to your insulation. That way, just like on the dipole, you get something like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to put the center conductor here is going to go into the center of your bulkhead connector. And your negative here is going to go onto one of the screws of your bulkhead connector. And you want to file it down, shave it down, use sandpaper or something on the bulkhead connector to get a good negative connection. And so then the other side, you do the same thing. You have another side just like this, and you connect the negative and the positive. Now what you do is you want to get a PVC pipe long enough because you want to go in one side, or you want the cable to come out one side, wrap around, go right back in, and you'll have 2 ends that come out the middle right here. It'll actually come out right there in the middle instead of mine coming out on the side. And that is actually the RF choke. So like I said, a 2-inch pipe, you're going to do 6 turns, just like on the loaded coil. There's 6 turns between the 2 ends. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you can adjust and tune your antenna. Now, the only difference between a RF choke and a coil is on the RF choke, whenever you push down this negative side here, all the way down the insulation, you do that on both sides. And then what you're gonna do is you are going to need to make it into a positive only. So every inch of this coil from stud to stud is all positive. So you have to cancel out the actual negative shielding. And to cancel that out, what you do is you fold the shielding down over itself, or you can actually cut the excess shielding off. But you can fold it down on both sides, and then you're going to split this white shielding here so you can get the inner conductor out. And I always like to leave a little bit of white shielding, that way whenever you heat shrink, the heat shrink has something to grab onto at the very end. And then what you do for your coil is you also want to, just like on the RF choke, you're going to go in the PVC pipe and come out, and you're going to wrap around 6 times. Then you can go right back inside again. And what you're going to do is on one side, you're going to have a 3/8 stud ring terminal that actually goes onto your 3/8 by 24 stud. And you're going to do that on both sides. On this side though, because my whip is 5/16 by 24, I have a 5/16 by 24 stud. And then I have a 5/16 ring terminal on the inside. So this is only positive in between here. And that's it. So that's actually canceling out. So if you cancel out the negative on your wraps, then you got a loaded coil. If you don't cancel it out, you have an RF choke. And it's the same thing on a loaded coil. A 2-inch loaded coil, you do 6 wraps. And on a 1/2-inch coil or a 1/2-inch air choke, you do 12 wraps.